Welcome to this episode of Moving Our World. I have an awesome vehicle here to talk about, which I'm super excited about purely because I know its little brother, the Trabant. The Trabant you may have heard of. There's a massive scene for them. They're a two-stroke. They came in as kind of a sedan and an estate as well. And they were kind of the bread and butter as far as cars were concerned. This thing here is called a ZWICKAU. We've been discussing how to say it properly. I'm going to go with that. Feel free to correct me in the comments. And it's a P70. And this thing came out in 1958, but they were made from about 55 through to 59. Long story short, if you're not too versed up with your history of the world, after World War II, things in Europe weren't great in a lot of places for a long time. Technology was developing, but not the best, especially if it was kind of Soviet derived. The ZWICKAU P70 itself, this one here's a 1958, it's 684cc, two-cylinder, two-stroke. Along the way there, they've discovered that, hey, we need a bit more of a modern looking body, but we don't have enough sheet metal to make them from. And what else can we make them from? They invented a plastic, I guess, called Duroplast. And Duroplast, you could make a whole video about just the production and the existence of Duroplast, because this stuff is non-biodegradable. It's very difficult to make it disappear. The fact that they made the cars with these in any way, shape or form is just kind of mind-blowing to even think about in this day and age.
All right, hold the phone. Voiceover time. I missed a few things in my explanation here. Firstly, the ZWICKAU P70 is from East Germany. Its history goes back to 1939, when DKW, better known in places like New Zealand for their two-wheel exports, started to produce a car called the DKW F8. It was originally powered by a almost 600cc two-stroke, it was front-wheel drive, and the F8 eventually got a nearly 700cc two-stroke, producing around 20 horsepower. World War II happened and production stopped. It finally restarted in 1949, but now in ZWICKAU, East Germany. The DKW F8 was now known as the IFA F8 and became the immediate predecessor to the ZWICKAU P70. It used an all-new Duroplast body on a wooden frame with a plywood floor. It remained in production from 55 to 59 with over 36,000 units produced, before being replaced by the Trabant P50. The Trabant, though, was lucky enough to lose the wooden frame for a steel one. A quick word on Duroplast. What the heck is it? Technically described as a composite thermosetting plastic, it was reinforced with cotton waste and ended up being used to make bodies for multiple different East German vehicles. However, with progress came a problem. The 90s beckoned and Germany was reunified. Better technology was available to all, and the old two-stroke plastic body stalwarts fell out of favour for more reliable BMWs and Mercedes. Trabants and ZWICKAUs alike ended up filling junkyards, unable to be disposed of. Eventually, a biotechnology company developed a bacterium specifically to consume a Duroplast body. The process itself would take around 20 days, and a process was also created at the Trabant factory in ZWICKAU to shred the bodies and help create cement blocks. Anyway, enough plastic chat. Let's get back to this ZWICKAU P70.
I want to have a look at the controls in here first of all, so maybe you go around the other side and I'll go in through this door and we'll just kind of have a look at what this car actually has. We've got our two basic doors, and in here the first thing you probably notice is this giant lever, which I first saw a video of this that Dennis sent to me and I thought, hey, this looks like a tiller. Is this to steer? Is it like auxiliary steering? No, this is the gear lever.
That's the gear lever.
That's all I know. Yep. So run me through everything.
So that goes a big rod to the front of the car,
yep.
And that's how you select your gear. So that's first, reverse, second, and third, and that's neutral.
What are your other buttons over here? So we've got the choke, I believe?
Choke, yeah. Oh, that must be lights.
Fan.
A heating fan.
You've got a heating fan.
Oh, we'll have to go through that, because there is a heat exchanger, exhaust heat exchanger.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that's what's providing the heat for inside the cabin. It's been converted to 12 volt at some point, hasn't it, by the looks of it?
Yeah, and someone's put in a radio.
Yeah.
This car is all as found. That's your fuse box.
Oh, okay. Right in there. And that's also got your gear shift pattern on the front of it there as well. And can you see how many, is that the odometer there? Is that accurate, do you reckon?
120 k's.
120 k's?
I don't think you get to 120.
Alright, and so pedals on the floor here. What do we have?
Just, that's the gas.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the brake, which are only mechanical, which is kind of quite behind the times, and then just an ordinary clutch.
Yeah. And that's on the...
That's your high beam, low beam.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, that's sort of typical for old cars as well.
Yeah.
And then this is the one here is the freewheel.
Yeah. And so why would you really like want to engage that? Because I mean, most people won't really understand it. They won't get why does it need to freewheel? Is it purely
just so it doesn't oil starve down a hill?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, this here looks to be a little
ashtray. Everyone's smoke back.
Ashtray. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So it's super basic. It's got a water temp that looks like it's like active, as in even when the car's off. Is the ignition on or off at the moment?
It's off. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just alive.
That's the old school.
Actual thermostat.
Actual thermostat. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's open the bonnet and have a look under there and see what we've got to deal with. Interesting. So we'll just ignore this at the moment. Don't worry about that in any way, shape or form. But this is the engine. And that's our fuel supply at the moment, but we won't talk about that. This is our tiny little engine here, and you can kind of see it's small. I mean, it's going to be warm, so I'll be quite careful, but you can see the size of my hand there. It's a tiny little thing. It's about the length of my hand. There's 2 cylinders in there. There's no cooling fins because it's got a giant radiator here. Now, you were telling me about this radiator before, and I've completely forgotten everything you were saying.
There's no water pump.
Yeah.
So to make thermosiphon work better, which is just a natural flow of heat, water, you want to have it higher.
Yeah.
So that's why they've mounted it behind the engine.
Yeah.
And that way they could also get the lower nose, which was sort of becoming the fashion then.
And then also we've got the gravity fed tank.
Gravity fed tank, so that's up there, and then the carburetor's down there, so no need for a petrol pump. That's keeping everything about as simple as it gets.
What is this over here? Is this a fan of some type?
Yeah, that's for the heating fan, so there's actually heat. So that sucks air in here. It goes down into there, and there's an exhaust heat exchanger unit down there.
Yeah.
Point it down there and then...
Ah, yep. And then that basically warms up the cabin. Is there a couple of vents in there? I didn't... There might be down the bottom there.
Oh, here we go.
There you go, there's your vent. Alright, one thing we're about to disappear and probably go for a drive in this thing, but we need to show you the gear rod. That's it there, right there. You can see it moving forward. So we're going to go into first gear, I believe. So that's first, and then second's over the opposite side, I believe. There we go, the second, third, there we go, and there also is a reverse. And there we go, we've engaged reverse. So that's your gear change that goes right down into the engine there and comes from that rod that literally is that rod we were talking about and looking at in here. That thing there, it's not a tiller, it's a gear lever. That's awesome. So we've got our brake, oh my god, it goes all the way to the floor.
Oh yeah, so just a word before we drive it.
Yeah.
So it's mechanical brakes.
They don't exist.
They're not really good. So when you come into a stop, you've got to sort of think about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, see, this car's not really used and stuff, so
yeah. Things that immediately stand out to me sitting here is the steering wheel kind of, like the column just comes out on an angle. It's not compared to the pedals and the way I'm sitting, I feel like the steering wheel's here and I'm sitting straight.
It's actually rack and pinion.
Is it?
It's actually rack and pinion.
That's pretty flash.
Yeah.
I can't believe they did that. Yeah.
Of,
so that's your neutral.
Your neutral thing, instead of going side to side with the gear lever, you're going back and forth.
Okay, yep. Yeah. So we're going back and forth, that's neutral. And now I've got my gear indicator here. So first, top left, and in. So in and left would be first, out and right. So you've got to go in first, out to the right. Oh, wow. Okay. Traditionally, when you're starting one of these things, take me through your procedure. Ignition needs to be on, I imagine, which is this. Yeah. So we turn that to the right. Clutch doesn't need to be in because we're in neutral. Choke or not?
Shouldn't need choke.
Shouldn't need choke.
We are warm now.
I'm going to put the brakes on because I'm just going to. Is that a smart idea?
No, because you want to catch it with you need to probably give it a little bit of gas.
Okay.
Clear its throat.
So, and just push this button down.
Yeah.
And that's it. Sweet. Sounds like an outboard motor. Alright. Jump in. I'm so freaking out. I don't know what to do. Cool. So freewheeling must be okay if it's... We'll find out, won't we?
We'll find out. I can't remember which position I've left it in.
Sweet.
Handbrake off.
Yep, I didn't even think about that. There is actually a handbrake. Okay, there we go. I'm being ever so gentle and feathering it. I'll get out into the road and then find another gear, I think. You have to be going a certain speed before it'll be happy in second?
Not this thing.
Oh,
That was pretty slow.
that was really slow. I thought I had to pull out first. Yeah. Sweet, that's it. It's fantastic. And so to plan to stop in one of these things, yeah, I see what you mean. It's taking a long time to stop.
Yeah.
And I probably shouldn't have clutched into a stop, should I?
No, that's right.
That's okay? There we go, I see, mechanical. I physically have to push really hard, otherwise it wasn't stopping at all. And then reverse is supposedly in and to the right. Let's make sure there's actually no one behind us. I might use the handbrake to help me out here. Alrighty. Finding that. All right, I've already figured out the gears. They're really natural once you, yeah.
Once you get used to it, it's fine.
The fact that people would daily drive these, and I mean, they didn't really know anything else, but it's still mind-blowing to me, you know, just coming from a world of Nissan Sentras that work. Yeah, it's just absolutely fascinating. The control of it is very antiquated, agricultural, I guess is the best way to say it. Turning is tough, but it works. Oh, bad one. Oh, I'm so sorry. That was reverse. Damn it. Cool, that's awesome. And then back to second. Awesome, fantastic. All right. Well, this has been super fascinating. This one, yeah, it's still terrible though. Still terrible. I'm just not good at this. It's interesting though. The water temp stays at pretty constant. It's just sitting there around 60 degrees. It seems to be quite happy. I'm so fascinated about the physical, actual driving of it that I'm kind of half forgetting every other feature that it does or doesn't have, I guess is the best way to say it. Beep, beep.
Wow.